Why do you live here? The question was direct, but neither of them seemed offended. Obina leaned back slightly. My father built this house himself, he said. Every part of it meant something to him. After he died, my mother refused to leave. Mama Grace smiled sadly. Your father-in-law loved this house too much. I could not just walk away from it. Obina looked at his mother before speaking again. She doesn't want a new place, and I don't like leaving her here alone, so I stayed. There was no show in it, no attempt to look noble. Just truth. Chica looked around the house again, but this time differently. Not as a sign of poverty, as a sign of memory, as a sign of love. Obina continued, If you want something else, I can build a new house nearby. Something bigger, something more comfortable. Chica looked at him. There it was again, that same simple tone, as if building a house was like offering someone a bottle of water. But what touched her was not the offer. It was the reason he had stayed. He was rich enough to live anywhere. He was powerful enough to build anything. Yet he remained in this old house because of his mother. That moved her more than the gold, more than the pink diamond, even more than the money. She shook her head gently. There's no need. Obina studied her face, as if making sure she meant it. You're sure? Chica nodded. Yes. Mama Grace smiled in quiet satisfaction. Something softened inside Chica then. This was the first time she looked at Obina and felt something deeper than surprise. Respect. Real respect. Not because he was rich, but because he did not wear it like noise. Because he stayed close to his mother. Because he had power and still spoke gently. For the first time since entering that house, Chica felt that maybe her life had not ended. Maybe it had only changed direction. Mama Grace stood up. Let me go and bring food. The two of you can talk. She left them in the sitting room. For a brief moment, there was silence. Then Obina looked at Chica and said quietly, You still look like you want to run. Chica looked down, embarrassed. He did not laugh at her. I know today has been too much, he said. You don't have to understand everything at once. She looked back at him slowly. His face was calm. His voice was calm too. And somehow that made it easier. I just wasn't expecting any of this, she admitted. I know. Another short silence passed. Then Chica looked at the bracelet again, then at him. You really farm? That finally made him smile. Yes, he said. I really do. The smile changed his face completely. Chica looked away too quickly. And for the first time, without forcing herself, she found a small smile rising on her own face too. That evening, after they ate, the quiet returned. Mama Grace showed Chica where she could freshen up and where her things had been kept. The house was still simple, but now Chica noticed the care in it. Everything was clean. Everything had its place. As night fell, a new worry entered her mind. Sleeping. She and Obina were married now, yes, but they were still strangers. She had only met him properly that day. The thought of sharing a room with him made her chest tighten. Not because he had done anything wrong, but because everything was happening too fast. Mama Grace went to her room after a while, leaving the two of them in the sitting room again. Chica sat with her hands on her lap, not sure how to bring the matter up. Obina noticed her uneasiness. What is it? He asked. Chica hesitated, then said quietly, About tonight. He understood at once. His face softened. I changed the bed sheets in my room for you, he said. You can sleep there. Chica looked up quickly. He continued, I'll stay somewhere else until our proper wedding. Maybe at my cousin's place or one of the other houses nearby. I don't want you to feel uncomfortable. For a moment, Chica just stared at him. You would leave your room for me? Obina looked surprised by the question. Of course. She did not know what to say. That answer touched her more than she expected. In her father's house, so many things had been forced. People decided things for her and expected her to adjust. But here, this man she had known for only some hours was giving her space without making her beg for it. Thank you, she said softly. He only nodded. You should rest. Today was long. A little later, Mama Grace came out again and heard the arrangement. At once, she frowned. Which cousin's place? She asked. Obina answered calmly. I said I'll stay there tonight. At this hour? She said. And you want to start knocking on somebody's door in the middle of the night? It's fine. It is not fine. Obina tried to explain, but Mama Grace did not listen. The night had grown darker already, and one of the side roads had become muddy after a short evening rain. She refused to let her son go wandering around because of sleeping arrangements. In the end, after too much back and forth, she solved it in her own way. You two will use the room, she said firmly. It is your room. The bed is big enough. Nobody will die. Chica nearly choked. Obina looked helpless for the first time. Mom. But Mama Grace had already turned away. I am going to sleep. Figure it out like adults. She left them there. For a few seconds, neither of them spoke. Then Chica looked down, trying not to laugh from pure embarrassment. Obina rubbed the back of his neck. I'm sorry. That made her laugh a little. No, it's not your fault. He looked at her, and a faint smile touched his lips too. The tension eased a little. When they finally entered the room, Chica's heart began beating fast again. The room was neat and simple, just like the rest of the house. The bed was indeed wide enough for two people, but that did not stop the awkwardness. Obina stopped near the door and said, You can take the inner side. I'll stay at the edge. Chica nodded quickly. He picked a pillow and placed it between them once they settled. That almost made her smile again. You don't trust yourself? She asked before she could stop herself. The words slipped out so suddenly that she turned red at once. Obina looked at her. Then he gave a quiet laugh. I trust myself, he said. I just don't want you to think I'm trying anything. Chica turned to face the ceiling. I didn't say you were. No, he agreed. But I know we just met. Silence followed for a moment. Then he added in a lower voice, and you are not exactly easy to ignore. Chica turned her head sharply toward him. Obina was looking straight ahead now, as if he had not meant to say it out loud. She felt heat rise to her face. He cleared his throat. I mean, you're very beautiful, so I'd rather be careful. Chica did not know whether to hide her face or laugh. In all the confusion of the last 2 days, nobody had said anything gentle enough to make her shy. It had been pain, pressure, arguments, and change. Now this quiet man beside her was suddenly making her feel aware of herself in a different way. She spoke after a while, still facing away. At least you're honest. It made him smile in the dark. Yes, he said. I try to be. They lay quietly again. The room was still. After some minutes, Obina spoke. You don't have to be afraid of me, Chica. The words were simple, but they entered her softly. I'm not afraid, she replied. He was quiet for a moment, then asked, Then what are you? Chica thought about it. Tired, she said at last. Confused, a little ashamed too. Ashamed of what? She swallowed. Everything happened in a bad way. It's like I was pushed from one life into another. Obina turned slightly toward her, though he still kept his distance. You were not the one who did anything wrong. She let out a faint breath. It doesn't always feel like that. He did not rush to answer. When he finally spoke, his voice was calm and steady. Then let it take time. Nobody is chasing you here. That line did something to her. Nobody is chasing you here. Chica closed her eyes. For the first time in a long while, she felt a little safe. Beside her, Obina stayed still. Though he was deeply aware of her closeness, her soft voice, and the quiet beauty she carried even in sadness, he kept every restless part of himself under control. He wanted her, yes. Any man with blood in his body would notice her, but more than that, he wanted her trust. That mattered more. After a while, Chica spoke again. Are you always like this? Like what? Calm. He laughed softly. Not always. It feels like nothing can shake you. That's not true, he said. Some things shake me. She opened her eyes slightly. Like what? He was quiet for a moment. Things that concern the people I love. That answer stayed with her. She did not reply, but something in her softened again. Not all at once. Not fully. But enough for her to stop feeling like he was a stranger at the far end of the bed. By the time sleep came, the room no longer felt tense. It felt quiet, warm, safe. While Chica was falling asleep in that simple room, Kemi was stepping into her new life in the city with her head high. Her wedding to Tundabello had been done in style. There were lights, expensive clothes, loud smiles, and enough public display to impress people. Kemi had enjoyed every second of it. As far as she was concerned, she had won. She was now Mrs. Bello. She had the rich husband, the rich family, the rich name. That alone made her feel she had defeated Chica once again. When she entered the Bello family house, she expected admiration. She expected to be welcomed like a queen. She expected warmth dressed in luxury. What she met instead